thanks to you, I have a slave bikini to fit into. So I do have to that is my goal, is to not be completely embarrassed while I'm at any PopCon.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Nerds You're Looking For podcast, a weekly nerd culture podcast that discusses nerddom through various segments. My name's Tyler Hunt, and I'm here as always with my co-host Pat Kuhn. How's it going, dude?
I'm all right. I'm kind of a little bit cranky. My wife and I started our diet this week. I think it was like on Sunday we started it.
Oh yeah.
So we're like 4 or 5 days into it. And it's been a rough couple of days, but I'm kind of like turning the corner, so hopefully I'm not too cranky on this episode. But yeah, it's been a rough. I'm surprised that I haven't like choked somebody out at work or something, because it's been a rough couple of days.
Yeah, it's funny. It's kind of a coincidence because I've been on a diet now for 3 weeks, just trying to shed some weight.
Shove it in my face.
No, but part of the diet that I'm trying to do is cutting out sugar.
Yeah.
And like the first couple of days with no sugar, I was in this weird depression. It was strange. And at work, I'm human resources, so I kind of need to be a little bit upbeat and approachable.
Sure.
And just kind of trying to fake it through that was rough. But I guess my endorphins have leveled out now, and I'm good. But yeah, those first few days were rough.
Yeah, I'm nursing quite the caffeine headache right now. I've been doing that the last couple of days. Like, I'm almost like a drug addict, because the diet that we're on is also, you want to cut out sugar. Well,
yeah,
caffeine, there's not a ton of drinks that have caffeine that don't have sugar in them.
Yeah.
So it was basically, you got to cut out sugar too, or you got to cut out caffeine too.
Yeah.
And so I was like weaning myself off, like I was popping a Cedrin like earlier in the week, because that has caffeine, but not as much as like a coffee or whatever. And then I was like cutting those Cedrin in half like a couple of days later. So I was trying to like wean myself off. And today yesterday, I went pure no caffeine, and it hasn't been the best couple of days, but yeah, the diet itself hasn't been that bad. Like, as far as eating, it's been difficult to like find things to eat, but my wife is, and I have no hidden agenda whatsoever. My wife doesn't listen to this at all. So I say this in all honesty. My wife is an awesome cook. So she's one of those people that it blows me away, because she could take like 3 different things, 3 different ingredients, and make a whole meal out of it. And I'm one of those people. I'm not a bad cook, but it's just like, I have to know exactly what I'm going to cook in. I have to have all of the ingredients, and everything has to go just perfect for it to be somewhat of a meal. And she can just kind of whip stuff together. It's crazy. So she's just basically been cooking this entire time since we've been on this diet, because it's really tough to find things that don't have like dairy or sugar or legumes, which I didn't even know what fuck legume was until we started this diet. But yeah, it's been a rough couple of days, but I feel like I'm kind of turning the corner a little bit. So hopefully I'm not too cranky.
I guess I've cheated on the sugar thing then, because I've allowed myself a coffee a day.
Yeah.
And I don't put sugar in it, but I do put a little bit of creamer in it.
Yeah.
And
that would be 2 strikes for my diet.
Yeah, the creamer has like 1 gram of sugar in it, I think, per serving, so I just let it go. But I can't. I don't know that I could completely cut out caffeine without getting those headaches you were talking about.
Yeah, it's been pretty brutal. Like, I basically, after lunch, I've been like shutting down at work. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I barely do any work. So hopefully nobody at work is listening to this right now. But yeah, I think once I kind of get over it, it's going to be for the best. But it's been kind of rough.
Yeah, for sure, man. But hopefully end results are what you're looking for.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You're perfect though, and you don't need to lose any weight. I just don't know if anybody's told you that. So
thank you, but thanks to you, I have a slave bikini to fit into. So I do have to that is my goal, is to not be completely embarrassed while I'm at any PopCon. So.
Yeah, because the bikini's not going to embarrass you at all. So.
Oh no, I'm not worried about that. Not at all.
That's good.
So if this is your first episode, we usually start off the episode by kind of just checking in with each other. We kind of like to have these nerdy conversations, obviously, and we like to start off by what we're into. So what are you into this week?
There's been a couple things I've watched this week. I'm going to talk about one in depth, and then I'm just going to briefly mention one that's a movie that's out in theaters. But the one that I binged last weekend is a show called The Good Place.
Okay.
Are you familiar with it?
Yes, my wife loves it. I've seen a couple episodes. I really just didn't get into it.
Yeah, so this is, I had heard good things, and I saw that it was only 13 episodes long, so I decided to knock it out, 20-minute episodes, not really too much of a commitment, and I saw that it was created by Michael Schur, who also was involved with The Office and Parks and Rec, so
yep.
Two of my favorite shows. By the way, I finished The Office, and if we were to do our top 10 all time again, like The Office would be in the top 5. I just got into it, and yeah.
Even with that last season?
Yeah, the last season there are some spots that are tough to get through, but like the season finale or the series finale is on point.
Really, really good.
Yeah, and those earlier seasons, like the first 7 seasons, like I could even do season 8, like the first season without Michael. I didn't think was too bad. And I think season 9 would have been better if Ed Helms had been in it more.
Yeah.
Him being away filming The Hangover 3 was a bit disappointing and lowered the quality of that season. And of course, nobody wants to see Jim and Pam fight. So,
yeah.
All that being said, love The Office, but that was kind of my motivation to watch this show. So it stars Kristen Bell and Ted Danson, as well as some people who I'm going to butcher their names, especially this one, Jamel Jamil. William Jackson Harper and Manny Jacinto, and I'm less familiar with all 3 of them, but they do have starring roles on the show. It's about a woman named Eleanor who wakes up in a waiting room and is told that she's died and she's been sent to the good place as opposed to the bad place. So they kind of try to go past like the heaven and hell stuff, and they don't really tie it to any religion. So they just call it good place, bad place. Again, it's explained like that it's not like heaven and hell. It's something that no religion on earth has gotten right. They say that most popular religions are about only 2 to 3% right. There are different good places, and the one that we follow is this town that is overseen by its architect, whose name is Michael, who again is played by Ted Danson. Some things transpire in the first episode, and I won't get into spoilers, but throughout that first episode, you kind of follow Eleanor, and she starts to feel like she's not good enough for the good place. And then the rest of the season after that follows her and the other characters as they struggle to determine what it means to be good and how they can find their place in this afterlife. So I thought that it was a pretty cool concept. It's not like anything that I've ever seen on TV before. And while it's not even close to the level of quality that Parks and Recreation or The Office had, this show is pretty fun. I think Ted Danson is pretty good on it, but for me, the standout is Kristen Bell. Like, I'd watch her be funny all day. I'm really surprised that she's not consistently in things, because to me, she's just really delightful, and I enjoy watching her be funny. I can't get into too many plot points outside of the pilot because there are a lot of twists and turns throughout the season, especially in the last episode. But I will say that it recently got renewed for a season 2, and if you have any interest in this show at all, I would highly recommend you binge the first season soon before some of the twists and turns are spoiled for you. Again, it's only 13 episodes, or 12 depending on how you look at it, because they lumped 12 and 13 together into like an hour-long finale or whatever. But it's a quick, fun watch, especially when there's not a lot of new TV on. So I do recommend The Good Place.
Have you ever seen The Lifeguard?
Oh my God, I think I have. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why she's not in more.
No, that movie was bad.
Yeah, it was. It was really, really bad.
Man, I don't even remember it. I don't even remember
exactly
plot points. But I don't know if she was given the right material. I think she's just great. But
yeah, I mean, she's awesome at Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
yeah, for sure. The other thing, just wanted to talk about very briefly, is The Founder. I went and saw The Founder,
Oh,
which
okay,
is
cool.
the Michael Keaton McDonald's movie. Not too much to say about it. Like, it was okay, but I can, it was shifted release dates to push for Oscar noms, and it didn't get any, and I could see why. It's basically, it's like There Will Be Blood, but but in fast food.
Okay.
It's really weird. It's a weird story, and it's kind of interesting to see the
Do
history.
they drink any milkshakes?
Yes, they do, actually.
That was too easy. I apologize.
They do drink lots of milkshakes, actually. But I don't know. It's kind of cool to see the hidden history of McDonald's and how Ray Kroc kind of stole it from the brothers. But I don't know that I'll ever watch it again. But yeah, that's what I'm into.
Yeah, I was kind of interested in seeing The Founder, and I just never did, and probably won't.
You don't think you'll ever watch it, even like if it's on Netflix?
I mean, I'm sure if it's on some streaming site that I don't have to pay for, that I'll pick it up. But
the problem is, it's like they want you to, root for Ray Kroc at certain points, and then at other points they want you to feel sorry for the McDonald brothers. And
so they don't have that clear vision of who to root for. Yeah,
exactly. It shifts from scene to scene, and I guess it's kind of left up to the viewer to decide on how they feel about it. But
sure,
it was a tough watch because I'm so hungry, and it's like there's a lot of burgers in that movie, man, and it took all my strength not to stop at a McDonald's on the way home.
That is honestly one of the reasons I never saw Chef.
Oh yeah,
I have no willpower whatsoever, and I'm a fat kid at heart. I love food so much, and I love like the worst food.
Yeah.
So I was always afraid that I would just like eat and eat and eat after I saw that movie, and so I just never saw it, even though I'd heard such great things about it.
Yeah, that movie is fantastic, but I will tell you, like, don't watch it during your diet.
Okay.
The food in that movie just looks delicious. So, anyways, what are you into, dude?
Well, I mean, Tyler, it should come as no surprise. We literally just got done watching John Wick, Chapter 2. We came straight over to record right after seeing it. And John Wick was a movie that I had no desire to see. Honestly, I saw the trailer. I'm not a huge Keanu Reeves fan. I don't think that he's a very good actor. We talked about this before. He seems like a really chill, cool guy, but he's just not that great at it. Like, people are mediocre at their jobs. It's okay. But anyways, so it wasn't necessarily a movie that I was really interested in. And then it's one of those movies that just kind of came out of nowhere, surprised some people. It was getting good reviews. I was like, no way, this movie, John. Like, it just looks like your generic action movie. And it was getting really good reviews, and so I went and saw it, and it just kind of blew me away. That nightclub scene is probably one of the funnest, like, action scenes I can think of. Like, it just immediately pops into my head when I'm thinking of stuff like that. And so I was just completely blown away by that. So I was a little bit nervous about the sequel, because now that I have expectations going in, how am I going to feel? And after seeing the first one, I've seen it a couple of times. It does not fade in quality whatsoever. It has really great replay value. I really wanted to see more mythology. I think I even said when we talked about this, I think when I first saw the original, I said that I wanted to just see a movie about the Continental. Yeah. And that's basically what John Wick Chapter 2 is. It basically gives you a lot more of that mythology, that criminal underground. You see more of that, and they kind of expand on some of the mythology in the first movie. Is it as good as the first one? No. Is it really, really fun? Yes. I think it definitely suffers from, basically the same thing that most sequels suffer from, is it wants to outdo the first one. And I feel like every action scene wanted to be that nightclub scene, especially there's one scene that's almost exactly that scene. And it's just, I don't know. There's only so many times that you can watch him double tap somebody. before you kind of get bored with it. Like towards the end, I felt bad because I was feeling a little bored with it because we just see it over and over and over again in this movie. And that's not bad. It's very well done. I've seen some training videos with Keanu Reeves. Like he's actually really good at this.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about shooting or guns, but just watching the video, he obviously put a lot of work into it. It's a really fun movie. It's a great action movie. I'm super psyched that the dog didn't die in this one because I really, really obviously hate when that happens, and it hurts to watch John Wick just for that moment. But it builds off the first one, and I think it does a really good job. But like I said, after a while, those action scenes just kind of wear on you.
I don't want to spoil any plot points. I mean,
sure.
You said that the dog doesn't die. Is there a certain point in the movie where you thought they just killed a fucking dog again?
No. Well, yes. Towards the end.
I'm talking about towards the beginning with his house.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first thought that went through my mind. Was like, Jesus Christ, they just killed another dog.
They couldn't do that again.
No, that's
as a plot point. They just couldn't do that.
They
again.
Can't become the movie that just kills a dog in every movie to motivate John Wick.
Yeah, he just stops getting dogs, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, I can't love anything again.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, there's a scene at the end, which obviously we're gonna stay vague because it literally just came out. But he has a guy watch his dog.
Yeah.
And there's a scene later in the movie with that guy, and I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, man. Like, you can't kill this dog.
No. I mean, I think that part of the reason that everybody loves John Wick is not only because it's a great movie and the action's fantastic, so on and so forth, but everyone loves dogs, and everyone would like to get revenge if that were to happen to their dog. And that's
sure.
That's part of the first movie, so... You did that in the first one out. Again, like you said, you can't do it again in the second.
So what'd you feel about it?
I thought that it was fun. I'm kind of in the same boat with you. By the end of it, I was like, all right, let's wrap this up. Like you said, you can only watch him shoot so many people. As amazing as it is and as great as it's shot, like at a certain point, you got to stop. Like, you can only shoot somebody so many ways, or stab somebody, or punch somebody so many ways in one movie. So there was probably a couple action pieces that they could have taken out to kind of made the movie a little tighter. So not as good as the first one, in my opinion, but I mean, it was still a lot of fun and way better than going to see 50 Shades Darker this weekend, if that's on your docket.
Oh no, for sure not. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, yeah, Keanu Reeves I think he's actually better in this movie than he was in the first movie, because I think they don't ask him to do a ton in the first movie, but they ask him to do more than they do in this movie.
Yeah.
Like I think it's like an hour and 40 minutes. I would be surprised if there's 30 minutes of him not shooting or fighting somebody. Like,
he has no dialogue. Or very, very few scenes with dialogue. And poor Ruby Rose, she has no dialogue. She has to
I'm glad that you brought
language.
That up. She would be the worst hitman in the world. Isn't hearing like a big part of being a hitman? Like, you would be able to sneak up on her so easily.
They never explicitly say she's deaf. Maybe she's mute.
I guess but then why does everybody else have to do sign language to her?
That's a good point. Touche.
But they never explained that. I know that that's not important, but it's also not important to the movie. It never pays off.
Well, I don't feel like I don't get the choice to make her character deaf. Because she already stands out because she's the only female hitman in this. Well, almost only the female hitman in this whole movie.
Yeah.
So and she has tattoos and her hairstyle, she stands out enough on her own. You don't need to add that character trait to make her stand out more.
Do you think that they gave her that because there's a female hitman in the first one to kind of, as you're looking at the franchise as a whole, are they trying to kind of distinguish that person from the first?
Maybe. I could see how possible. Well, I mean, the girl in the first one dies. Like the casual moviegoer. I know
that they're not trying to have the audience know that that's a different person.
Well, I don't know. The casual moviegoer is pretty dumb sometimes. So Yeah, I don't know. I get that they're building their universe and they're adding these character traits, but I think that you made a really good point that, you know, there's a very big disadvantage to not being able to hear if you're in that type of work.
Yeah, and they never really showed, like, she doesn't have any advantages. You would think, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's a very small part of the movie. It seemed very strange to me.
Give her an eye patch or something.
That would be worse.
I feel like there's a movie that she's in where she has an eye patch.
Honestly, I don't even remember anything that she's ever been in.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw her on Seth Meyers the other night, and I started getting into her IMDb history. But yeah, she's not been in anything big here in the U.S. So
sure,
except Orange Is the New Black, which I've never watched.
Me either. That's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that show's great, but whatever.
Okay, so comics. What'd you read this week?
I've been saying it for like the last 2 months, it seems like, but just going through getting caught up on the different arcs that I'm reading because I got so far behind over the holidays. This week I got caught up on Titans, which, again, I've talked about it once before. It's basically the Teen Titans of old grown up, and they're kind of back together. So, instead of Robin and Kid Flash, it's Wally West and Nightwing, so on and so forth. So I got through the multi-issue arc with Kadabra, which was way better than it had any right to be, because Kadabra is a super lame villain, but he's used
I immediately thought of the Pokemon.
Yeah, oh, for sure. But like, he's such a cheesy villain, and it's weird that they kind of picked him to be the big force in the first 6 issues that kind of bring the Titans back together. But it worked, and it was kind of cool, so kudos to the writers for that one. I'm going to focus more on 7 and 8. So, like, the first 6 issues really focus on Wally West, and we saw him grow a lot as a character. But 7 and 8 are particularly great. The team is setting up a base in Manhattan, which they grossly misunderstand Kadabra's final words before he's kind of ushered off in the issue 6. His last word is Manhattan. And for some reason, the Titans think that means they need to go to Manhattan. Of course, like, the casual reader knows that is referring to Dr. Manhattan from The Watchmen, and it's going to eventually tie into this rebirth stuff. But they've barely hinted at it over the last 12 months. So we'll see when that comes to fruition. But anyways, they're in Manhattan setting up base, and Wally is really struggling with the fact that his wife, before the whole New 52 rebirth stuff happened, Linda, doesn't remember their history, and she doesn't love him like he loves her. And it's pretty heartbreaking to read. And in issue 7, Superman is dropping by to see how things are going and to say hi to the Titans or whatever the fuck.
Babysit.
Yeah, kind of. But he ends up, him and Wally race like I think that they did in older issues, and I know that he raced Barry Allen, and Barry Allen's faster than Superman, and I'm supposing that he also did with Wally West. But while they're racing, him and Superman are talking, and Superman makes Wally realize that he has to fight for Linda and that she's worth reliving their relationship and fighting for her love. And it probably doesn't sound that poetic or that great coming from my mouth, but it's actually really touching, and it's especially great because you see how frustrated Wally is through the first 6 issues, and it's really frustrating to watch this character that you've seen love Wally in past comics just not know who he is. So Wally coming to that realization is a pretty big plot point, and it was made issue 7 a great standalone issue. Issue 8 starts the next story arc, which is called Made in Manhattan. I'm not extremely familiar with Teen Titans lore. Like, I'm not super knowledgeable about the lesser known characters, but this issue introduces 2 past characters named Bumblebee and Harold, but as civilians, I guess through the whole rebirth thing, they don't remember their pasts as superheroes, but they know that they have these powers. And they're both having flashbacks, and Harold, whose real name is Mal, is really frightened by his flashbacks. So he's gone to a place called Meta Solutions and had his powers taken away. Karen, on the other hand, is really intrigued by her flashbacks to this past life she doesn't remember, and she wants to pursue them. In the end of the issue, has her coming back as a character called Bumblebee, which I guess is a big part of Teen Titans. It's on that Teen Titans Go show, but again, I'm not very familiar with it. And it's kind of hinted that she might not be a Titan and she could be an adversary to them. And that's kind of the kickoff point to this story. It's the cliffhanger at the end of this episode or issue. So I'm really excited to see where it goes. I was reading the Titans to see honestly if I was going to keep going with it or ditch it, like I did with a couple of other issues or comics here recently. And I'm excited to say that it's good enough to keep going with.
Cool, man. I don't have much to add. I'm not a big Teen Titans fan. I'm not a big DC fan. So it's, you said that you're not big into their lore. I couldn't even tell you all of them. I couldn't even name all of them.
Yeah, I'm surprised that there hasn't been more Teen Titans stuff done, because growing up, I didn't get most of my knowledge from the comics. I got it from the cartoons.
Sure.
And, that's where I got my Spider-Man knowledge. And I know that there's been Teen Titans cartoons recently, but I've heard Teen Titans Go is kind of garbage, and there was a Teen Titans show before that, but that came just too late in life for me to be interested. So I'm just surprised that stuff wasn't around in the 90s, and if it was, I missed it. So anyways, what'd you read this week, dude?
I'll be pretty quick because it was super, super boring, and I'm not suggesting it. I actually thought, because I typically like to change it up. I don't, because we read pretty much the same books over and over again, so I like to switch it up and read number ones every once in a while, just kind of give them a chance and talk about them on the podcast, and whether or not I'm going to keep going with them is kind of up in the air. But I was surprised you didn't talk about Justice League America, because that was one that I was thinking about reading, and I was like, oh, well, Tyler's probably going to read that one, so I'll pick something else. And I came across Kingpin #1, which is a book that I didn't even know they were coming out with. So I was a little bit intrigued by it, just because, I mean, he plays such a big role in Daredevil, and I love that show so much, and I love that character in that show. So I was like, oh, well, that might be interesting. It was not. I mean, it's not a bad book. It's a first issue, and it has all of the first issue problems. They're just setting all this stuff up, and really nothing happens. And it's kind of boring. And one thing that we talked about when we reviewed Daredevil Season 1 is they had the luxury of teasing Kingpin and kind of building up his mystique. And he's not only intimidating because he's a physical presence, but he's also intimidating because he has this myth about him. Obviously, with the comic book, you can't have a comic book issue #1 Kingpin and not have Kingpin in it, because Daredevil Season 1, he doesn't show up until episode 4, I think it was, like at the very end. You can't do that with a comic book that's called Kingpin. Like, you might be able to do that with a Daredevil comic that we're not expecting Kingpin, but you can't do that with his own book.
Yep.
And so I just felt like that mystique wasn't there. Like, I feel like they wanted to kind of cash in with the popularity of Daredevil and kind of wanted to ride that coattail. And I don't know, it didn't work for me. It was just a lot of him just kind of being a big guy and talking to this one woman who's a reporter because he wants her to write his autobiography. And it just didn't work. Their dynamic it seemed like they were trying to steal that dynamic from his love interest from Season 1 of Daredevil. It felt like it was a very similar type of relationship, and he was kind of courting her in a similar way. So I don't know. It just didn't work for me. It's not a bad comic. I obviously am not suggesting it, but if you're much more of a fan of the character than I am, maybe you'd like it. But I didn't get into it at all.
Would you say that Kingpin is more of a Daredevil villain or a Spider-Man villain?
I don't know. He pops up in both. I would probably lean more towards Daredevil.
That's how I've felt the last few years. I mean, of course, with the TV show, but just from other things I've seen in comics as well. But it's just so weird. I was talking about like my introduction to things in the 90s, and Kingpin was a huge part of the 90s animated Spider-Man show. So to me, ever since, it's always been he's a Spider-Man villain, and I've not seen those two characters interact since the 90s.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean they've had some stronger arcs in the past. I can't remember the last time. I'm behind on the Amazing Spider-Man as we speak, but I don't think since his Superior that he's even made an appearance.
Yeah, I think that I mean, Spider-Man has such a great rogues gallery, and
Sure.
Daredevil doesn't have that level, so giving Kingpin to Daredevil kind of helps that character out a little bit more, I think.
And we're going to see more of that because of the popularity of the show. They're going to keep putting, like, not to spoil too much, not that it plays a huge role in this issue, but Matt Murdock does make an appearance in this issue. Not Daredevil, but Matt Murdock makes an appearance. So you definitely I think those two have come hand in hand now.
Yeah, they have, for sure.
All right, so you ready for nerd news?
Yeah, so every episode we talk about the big nerd headlines that happened since the last time we spoke. Call it nerd news. There's a couple things here to talk about. There were a lot of commercials and trailers last week during the Super Bowl. There's just one that I want to call out, though, to see your thoughts on, and that is the surprise teaser for Stranger Things Season 2, which is going to debut on Halloween on Netflix. I thought that it was really, really dope. I thought that was probably like the best thing about the Super Bowl commercials, and it'd be a close tie between that and Guardians of the Galaxy for me for my favorite, but just the Stranger Things Season 2 one was not expected. At least I hadn't heard that it was going to be shown, and it was really awesome.
Yeah, it's a show that I definitely need to revisit, and I might pull what I did with Daredevil Season 2, which is just like the couple of days leading up to it. I'll rewatch it. But yeah, it was. I wasn't expecting it either. Maybe we just kind of missed that press release, but I find it hard to believe that it slipped by the both of us. So maybe it wasn't very well known. Maybe they were keeping it a secret, but yeah, it blew me away. I was super excited once I realized, because it starts with that old Lego or Eggo commercial, and I was like, wait a second, like I immediately started thinking about Stranger Things. I was like, oh, this is pretty sweet. I love how they're embracing that aspect of it.
Oh yeah, seeing the 4 kids dressed up as the Ghostbusters is pretty much perfect. So
yeah, it was pretty cool. I actually just bought my ticket to Indiana Comic-Con, and she's going to be 11. I don't know her name.
Yeah, Millie Bob Brown or something like that. Yeah, close. It's close to that.
Yeah, she's going to be there. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, are you going to try to like meet her and get her autograph?
Yeah, hopefully.
I bet it's pretty expensive for her. She's like a hot ticket right now.
Yeah.
And I saw that Charlie Cox is going to be there too.
Yep.
Are you going to take anything to have him sign it?
I mean, I will. I haven't decided what it's going to be yet.
So I'm going to ask you this on the podcast, just so it.
I'm not going to have him sign my dick.
No, I have a Daredevil Season 1 Funko Pop.
Oh, so this is why you asked me.
If I give you cash, you get an autograph for me.
Yes, I will do that.
You're a good friend. All right. Moving on. This one more so for me, but I'll see what you have to say about it. So Star Wars Land has an opening year at Disney World and at Disneyland, and it's going to be 2019. So we're 2 years away from motherfucking Star Wars Land.
So are we going to start planning our trip now? Or?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it sounds awesome. I mean, I haven't been to Disney World and probably since I was in high school, and I know you and your wife go pretty much every year, right?
Yeah, we're going in 2 weeks. So.
Oh, really? I knew you were going. I didn't know that's where you were going.
Yeah, we're
not actually friends outside the podcast.
Well, it's one of those things where her and I, we didn't go last year, but her and I, this would be the 4th time we've been together in the almost 7 years we've been in a relationship, so we do go quite a bit. And when it comes down to us like picking a vacation spot, it's just a place that her and I really enjoy, and we enjoy each other's company, and it's a lot of fun to go with Brittany, and it'd be a lot of fun to go with you and Chrissy as well. Like that sounds like a really dope trip to take. I just don't advertise it a lot because there's that stigma, and people at work and people that I somewhat know, it's like, why wouldn't you go to the beach, or why wouldn't you go do this, or and it's just Brittany doesn't like the beach, she doesn't like to drink, so it's Disney World is like the spot, and it's so cool that they're doing all these renovations, and the Avatar part of Animal Kingdom opens this summer, so we're barely going to miss that. But then they're doing all of this stuff to Hollywood Studios with Star Wars opening in 2 years, and they're doing like a Toy Story part of it as well. So it's kind of a cool time to be a Disney fan because they're putting a lot of money into the parks right now, and it's just so much fun going. So yes, anyways, that's a long answer of saying yes, let's plan a trip.
Yeah. And they own everything now, so it's
like
awesome.
90% of what I like is owned by Disney, so it's pretty convenient.
For sure.
Let's see. So I made a rare Tyler post on the Facebook.
I know.
Yesterday.
I was like, wait a second. People are liking something? What did I post?
No. Kevin Smith announced yesterday that he basically has written a movie called Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, or something along those lines, because Clerks 3 and Mallrats 2 basically aren't going to happen, which is extremely disappointing. But in wake of that, he's written a Jay and Silent Bob movie that they're going to start filming this summer. He's promised a lot of cameos. Sounds like it might be a successor more so to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back as opposed to any of the other movies that those two have appeared in. So I know that we did our Kevin Smith retrospective, and I talked about it in the status update I posted on the Nerds Podcast Facebook, but you're not the biggest fan of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I think that movie is really funny, and I appreciate a lot of the fuck it, I'm not gonna be able to say that word. The humor in it I really like, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm a little nervous that it might follow in the vein of Yoga Hosers or Tusk, which, while I appreciate those movies, they haven't tarnished any Jay and Silent Bob legacy.
Sure.
If whatever legacy there is. So I'm excited. I'm pretty pumped, but I will say I'm extremely disappointed that Clerks 3 and Mallrats 2 aren't going to happen.
Yeah, that was kind of the bigger part of that. Like you said, I'm not a huge fan of that movie. I think he could have fun with it. I think he could have fun with the meta, like, reboot, kind of poking fun at that sort of, I don't know, style. I don't know, like, just like the trend of everybody kind of getting these reboots. So I think that could have some potential, but I was more kind of disappointed with the Mallrats, because I think that, even though I'm not a huge fan of that movie either, I think if you could, him trying to do it as a TV series is a pretty cool idea, and the fact that he couldn't get anybody to
6 networks turned it down. That blows my mind.
You would think that he would have more clout than that.
I feel like there's an audience there. For sure. I mean, he's proved that there's an audience there, and I would imagine that it wouldn't be a very expensive show except for maybe paying all of the people that agreed to come back for it. But like, that has Netflix written all over it, and I'm sure that that's one of the 6 networks. Same with
I'm sure
Hulu and Amazon, even AMC. Like, he has a relationship with them, and I'm just
but they didn't even pick up Hollywood Babylon. You think that there's more audience for that too? Yeah,
I mean, that's true. It's a bummer. And Clerks 3, he said, won't happen because one of the 4 main stars of that movie won't do it, and he didn't name names.
It's
but
Jeff
of course,
Anderson.
100%. Like, he's gone on record before saying he's like the guy that is hesitant to do anything related to that character. So yeah, it's a bummer. Maybe it eventually get made down the road, and I'm sure he hasn't completely closed the door on either project, but it doesn't sound like they were going anywhere as fast as he wants them to. So that is pretty disappointing.
Yeah, and he seems like he's one of those guys that, I mean, I know for the fact, because he talks about it constantly, is like, he's always got like a million things in the works. So it's like, when one thing he can afford to kind of put things on the back burner because he's always doing other things. And I think it's kind of cool. Not that I watch the shows, but I think it's awesome for him that he's kind of found a little bit of a niche doing the CW, DC shows. I mean, because he seems to really like it, and they obviously that's a two-way street because they keep asking him to come back and do it. So I think that's kind of cool. Not that I watch those shows, so I don't really.
Well, the fact that they've sparked his creative, his creativeness again is pretty cool too. Like, he even called those shows out in his Facebook post, saying that they make him want to go play with his characters again. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's pretty cool that it's like going to start filming probably this summer. So we'll probably see it in 2018, which is
cool.
Awesome. Let's see, Halloween, the reboot, but anytime you say that, like if you were to say Friday the 13th reboot, like that just leaves a super sour taste in your mouth. The one thing, and I think we've talked about it, that this Halloween reboot has going for it is that John Carpenter is attached to be creatively involved.
Yep.
He won't be directing, but he did announce who is writing and directing it.
Very surprising.
Yeah, so Danny McBride and his partner David Gordon Green. And David Gordon Green will be directing it. Danny McBride will be helping him write it. And John Carpenter is apparently pretty excited about it. He said he might do the music for it. He, of course, did the music for the first Halloween movie. And then Danny McBride came out and said that this is going to kind of follow the first two, so the John Carpenter ones, and kind of stick to that lore. So I don't like when timelines and movies get messy like this.
Yeah.
But I think that it's pretty cool that this is happening with John Carpenter while he's still around, and he seems excited about it, which makes me excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. It's always a good sign when you have the guy that created it or the woman that created it or whatever the case may be being excited for it, because you know that at least it has some redeeming qualities to it. The fact that Danny McBride is doing it, it's just, that seems weird to me. I mean, a writer is a writer, so I mean, I give him credit for trying to something a little bit different, but just doesn't seem like it's in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that, but he's also in the middle of doing Alien Covenant, so
yeah,
he's kind of taken a career shift, and we'll see how that goes for him. And I doubt that he's going to be an actor in the Halloween movie. But who knows? Last thing, and this is a small one, but it took me by surprise. So the IMDb message boards are being shut down.
Yes, they are garbage. Good riddance.
It sucks because they used to not be. Like whenever I first started getting into being a really big film nerd.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like I would IMDb everything and just fall into a rabbit hole like people do now with Wikipedia, just like going from actor to actor. Yeah, and those message boards were a cool place to go to find out little tidbits about the movies. I remember going to. I was like Christmas, and I was watching A Christmas Story, and I went to the actor's page who played Ralphie.
Yep.
And, you know, his message board's not lighting up or anything because he's not done anything since. But the actor that played him was on the message board talking to fans and answering questions and stuff. And it's gone from that to being just like this troll haven and just garbage. And you're right, good riddance. But it is kind of sad that that's what it's become, and they couldn't put moderators on them or something like that.
I mean, Reddit kind of has taken over that aspect. I mean, because you have the subreddits for all the movies, and you have subreddits of subreddits, and it's just like at a certain point that's become the new message board. So it makes sense that they are going to kind of do away with that function because, like you said, I mean, I don't even bother going to them anymore. It's just hot garbage, and they're not user friendly. And like I tried to post something, I mean, this is a year ago, and it kept like, in order for you to post this, you need to verify your user or whatever.
Yeah.
And here, let me send you a text message. I put my phone number. I never ever got that text message. And so it wasn't very user friendly, and it was just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Good riddance.
Yeah. It's a weird shift, but unfortunately the internet is full of scum and villainy. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, man. That's all I got for Nerd News.
All right, so like we said before, there was 3 movies that came out, 3 big movies. We already talked about John Wick 2. We will never talk about 50 Shades Darker. And then the other one was the Lego Batman movie, which is one of my Rotten Tomatoes movies. And I'm excited because last time I checked, it was at 90%, which is a good start. But last year I was very, very confident. After my first 3 or first 4, I don't remember. I was feeling pretty confident, and then I got slaughtered. So I don't want to get too confident, but I'm pretty excited.
And I'm not going to start being a sore loser just yet. So
yeah, we have. I mean, this year it's going to be a lot different because we have quite a few more movies.
Yeah.
So a 90% is not going to be it's not going to be a killer for you just yet. But it was at 98%, and I was like, oh, you're in trouble. But now that it's only at 90%, I'm not quite as excited, but I mean, it was like my 4th round pick or something like that.
No,
So
for sure.
I'm pretty happy with that. So if you haven't already figured out the main topic this episode, I kind of went a weird way to get to it, is we're going to review the Lego Batman movie. It was directed by Chris McKay, which I never heard that name, but I looked up his IMDb page, and he directed a lot of Robot Chicken.
Okay.
So he definitely has animation background, and he has a comedy background. And it was actually, there's quite a few people that are listed as a screenwriter.
Yeah, I noticed that in the credits.
And Seth Grahame-Smith is one of them. So I know Tyler's not a huge fan. I love him as a writer, as a novelist. He has put out some really bad movies as a screenwriter.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much
he was top billed.
Really? I know he had the story by, and he has the screenplay by. So I don't know. Obviously that means he probably had a pretty big part in it.
I mean, I don't want to spoil the way my review's going to go, but whenever I saw that in the credits last night, I was like, oh, that explains a lot.
So, okay. So Lego Batman stars Will Arnett as the Lego Batman, who has to face his biggest fear while also facing the Joker, who is desperate to prove that he is Batman's #1 villain.
Yep.
So we start off each of these reviews by kind of just giving a general overview of how we felt about the movie. We call it broad strokes. So how'd you feel about Lego Batman?
So all in all, I was pretty happy with this movie. I think that it found an amazing balance of respecting the character and Batman's lore while also kind of poking fun at the Bat universe. And any Batman fan will find humor in that because there are things to poke fun at, and this movie finds them and does a really good job of, again, being respectful, but, you know, kind of spoofing it a little. However, I will say that I honestly expected it to be funnier.
Yes. I
laughed out loud maybe 6 to 7 times, and while that might sound like a lot, I would say I was expecting a lot more given what the trailer showed. I found the Lego movie to be better, which I honestly wasn't expecting just because of my love for Batman. Maybe I had too high expectations because I thought the trailers were awesome. The marketing's been amazing. And then just seeing the percentage on Rotten Tomatoes whenever the film premiered last week, I was like, oh, there's no way that this isn't going to be in my top 10 at the end of the year. Is kind of the mindset I had, and maybe that was a detriment to my feelings on it. But man, I just wanted it to be a lot funnier than it was.
Yeah, I think we always talk about this, like when we have expectations, obviously, it's it very rarely fulfills those. And
yeah.
I think this is definitely one of the cases of we expected way too much of it because the the Lego movie is so good and so funny. And so just like adorably cute, and it's just really well written with the stuff at the end where it kind of comes all together, and it make some of the stuff earlier in the movie that didn't really make a whole lot of sense kind of comes all together, and so I expected a little bit more of that, and that's not what this movie is, and so my expectations were obviously really high, and it didn't necessarily live up to my expectations. And I would agree with you that it's not as funny as I expected it to be. I think I might have laughed a little bit more than you did, but I never really started wheezing or anything like that. Like when I really, really laugh, it gets super feminine and I have a hard time breathing. And I never got even close to that. It was more like I got 10 to 15 chuckles. Yeah. There's a couple of moments where I laughed pretty hard. There was actually one moment where we both laughed and we were the only ones in the theater that laughed because it was a pretty deep cut for a Batman reference. But as far as broad strokes is concerned, kind of what I just mentioned is that I just, I think I expected a little too much. It just, when a movie, it just felt like this movie was trying too hard.
Yeah.
It was, when you laugh, it was an hour and 40 minutes, an hour 30, somewhere in between that. and I laughed, like I said, at probably 10 to 15 times, which is a pretty good ratio. But when there's a joke every 30 seconds and I'm only laughing every 3 minutes, that means I didn't laugh at a lot of jokes. And this movie is almost like a machine gun, and it just constantly, and not a whole lot sticks. I mean, it's a great, I honestly, and we'll get into the story, but I think it is a pretty decent Batman movie. Just throw the Lego aspect away. I think it is a pretty decent Batman movie, but as far as a comedy is concerned, it's tough when you only laugh every 3 or 4 minutes, but there's a joke every 30 seconds.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
All right, so let's jump right into the story. Me personally, I really thought it was hilarious that it was basically the whole movie was Joker was trying to prove that he was Batman's number one villain. I just thought that was really cute because when you think of Batman, you think of the Joker. Like, I was literally wearing my Batman Joker shirt to this movie. Like, they go so hand in hand with each other. So the fact that this movie kind of turned that on its head and played with that idea that Joker is always trying to prove himself to Batman, I thought was really, really funny.
So for me, there's like two stories going on that are interweaving in this movie. There's that one that you're talking about with the Joker, and then there's the story of Batman's kind of internal conflict and being scared to let people in, so on and so forth. And for me, I could have done without all the Joker stuff.
Really?
And I thought that the idea of Batman overcoming his fear of letting people into his life was much stronger. I mean, obviously the comedy's not in that, but
sure.
The Joker stuff wasn't my favorite. The Batman side of it was more in the vein of the Lego movie. What I liked about that and the heart that movie had, and the villain side of it, I mean, it didn't make a lot of sense, but I kind of viewed it as the same prism that the Lego movie used, where it's a child playing with Legos and making creative stories. And from that side of things, like when you get characters from other universes in, kind of like the Lego movie did, it's a lot of fun because you kind of think of it as a kid playing with Legos. I mean, even the characters saying pew pew when they shoot.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's awesome and it's funny, and that kind of brings that heart from the Lego movie into it, even though it's not as explicit as it was in that movie.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, obviously, I like the Joker storyline much more than you did. I do like that other aspect to it. With animated movies, and we've talked about this a lot, is you have to have that moral because they are generally towards they gear themselves towards kids. You do have to have that good theme in there. We talk a lot when we talk about animated movies. What's the theme of this movie? And that's obviously the theme of this movie. So you have to have it in there. But I just really thought that the Joker stuff was pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, it was. And that kind of stuff is even hinted at in The Dark Knight, where it's like, you complete me and that kind of stuff. And that is a part of their relationship. So to actually see it said in that humorous way, like it does work. It's just, it wasn't my favorite part of the movie. I mean, I did appreciate that they were able in this movie to do so many callbacks to other iterations of Batman.
Yeah, but even that was a little played out towards the end. Like when Alfred, that's not a spoiler. Alfred wears the Adam West Batman costume.
That was pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Even for a Lego movie, like I was like, come on, that's not Alfred. And I think that might be where part of the problems I had with it was maybe I'm too big of a Batman fan, and to see Alfred wearing a bat suit is, not as fun, or to see Robin not wearing pants. I get that that's like a callback to the 60s, but Robin's a character that's not been done right yet in any of the Batman movies, and to see him just reduced to a joke in this movie.
I thought he was a pretty fucking funny joke, though.
No, I mean, I get it, but I think it's my two side of my brains fighting.
See, I went into this movie assuming that they were going to kind of pick apart, well, not necessarily pick apart, but kind of poke fun at Batman. And I didn't go into it as like, I'm a diehard Batman fan, which I am, but I can take a joke.
No,
Like,
absolutely. So I think that it speaks to Batman's history that, this character has so much history that you can build a spoof movie around it.
Oh yeah,
And
for sure.
and I did appreciate that. So, I mean, to complain about the Robin stuff, I mean, it was funny and there were things I laughed at, and I appreciate that he kind of looks like Carrie Kelly, and I did laugh. Like, I wasn't offended as a Batman fan. There was some stuff that didn't sit right, I guess. I don't know.
It's weird that my favorite little thing, and it's not even a joke, but the most I laughed was at the very beginning when the pilots say we're two best friends.
I know and that set like the tone for the movie. I'm like, oh, here we go. It's gonna be hilarious, and that was one of the funnier parts of the entire movie.
So I got a kick out of that. But I actually, you mentioned the promotional material. If they hadn't put the Robin song in the trailer, I think that would have hit.
Yeah. Yeah,
more than it did. I did kind of chuckle at it, but that was also like the 10th time that I heard him do it.
Yeah.
So it's, I think it would have hit more, but that's the thing. Like with these trailers, they put out 2 or 3. You've seen 5 or 6 minutes of the movie. So
yeah, I also want to touch on all the Easter eggs that were in the movie.
Sure.
Like,
go ahead.
They were just wonderful, right?
Oh yeah.
There were some deep cuts, and I was really impressed with that.
Oh yeah. I mean, they definitely took it. It's funny because they were definitely poking fun at Batman, but in order for you to have those deep cuts, you obviously have to be a fan of it.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that. And it's just, like I said, I could take a joke, and obviously you can as well. So it was kind of fun to have them poke fun at it.
For sure. And before we leave the story section, there's one more thing I want to say. Like, so I was mentioning my favorite aspect of the movie, or one of my favorite story points, is Batman kind of tackling his loneliness. And I thought that was a great direction to go. And I think that if any future live action Batman movies have the balls to tackle the Bat family, that there's a few lessons it could learn from this movie, because it did it really well. And I think that that's an aspect of the character that hasn't been tackled yet. And it blows my mind that it hasn't, because it's so obvious. So I really want to emphasize that I love that aspect of the movie. The only thing that fell flat with me was the lack of the humor.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, it's a pretty decent Batman story. Throw out the Lego, the villains that come in at the end. Like, obviously you can't have that in a Batman movie. But if you had a live action version of this movie minus that part, it would be a pretty decent Batman story.
I 100% agree.
All right, so performances, again, we're talking about voice performances. Will Arnett was amazing. Well, you kind of expected that. He was, I don't want to say a bright spot, a Lego movie, because that makes it sound like it was a bad movie. That movie was awesome.
Yeah.
But he was definitely a standout in that movie. I thought Michael Cera was awesome as Robin. There wasn't really anybody that stood out that was bad. There was a couple of people that, like Jonah Hill. I mean, he only has maybe 1 or 2 lines.
Yeah.
But like, I could tell immediately that was Jonah Hill. Channing Tatum was a little bit distracting.
Well, I mean, those are the actors that played him in the Lego movie. So bringing them back, I guess, just made sense.
Yeah. I did think it was weird that they had Ralph Fiennes do Alfred,
but not
Lord Voldemort.
I thought that was weird too. It's like, why the fuck do you bring Eddie Izzard to do that?
Yeah, I was just trying to think of who did it, but yeah, you're right. That's who it is. I just thought that was strange. Like, I don't know why. Well, I don't know.
It was kind of sad, but the most distracting voice for me was Jenny Slate as Harley Quinn, because Harley Quinn has like this very distinct accent, and they chose not to even put a hint of it in the movie, and that was a creative choice. And whatever you want to get Jenny Slate in the movie, that's fine, but
I didn't even know it was her.
Yeah, I had to look it up, but it's like, why don't you get Tara Strong and just like have...
Did she do a voice in this?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't know that for sure. I kept thinking, like, that would be a good character for her to do, or it would be pretty cool if they got her to do Harley Quinn. Obviously, they didn't.
Yeah.
Did you pick up on the Ralph Garman? He was one of the reporters.
Yeah, the reporters. Yeah,
so was Chris Hardwick, apparently. Yeah. My wife told me that.
Yeah, I had saw that. One of the things with performances for me was it was a huge deal that Billy D. Williams was going to do Two-Face.
Yep.
And I think he has one line, and I couldn't even understand what he said because the sound wasn't right.
Yeah.
So that was pretty disappointing for me. I get that maybe it wasn't the Lego Batman movie that people that put that out there as a press release and people just kind of picked up on it, and it was a cool little Easter egg, but it was such a big deal that, oh, he's finally getting to play Two-Face, and he has one partial line that I didn't even hear.
Maybe it was his part was bigger, and they cut it out. But in movies like this, it takes so much to animate things that they don't really have that many deleted scenes because it takes so much to animate things.
For sure.
All right, so what do you want? What do we usually talk? I don't have my notes.
It's like action, but I figure we talk about the animation.
It seems at this point, I mean, we go over this every time.
Yeah,
it seems kind of silly to. I mean, it was awesome. I think it's so cool the way they do it.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that it has like a stop animation feel to it, even though that's not the way they did it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty happy with how the Lego movies are doing that. It's pretty cool to watch,
and it's fun to see certain scenes done in a different way because you're used to animation being because of the way they have to play with the Legos, like the way things like breaking through a wall, you have all the little Lego bricks. I think that's super, super cool and just a new way to do the same thing. And like you mentioned before, the guns, I love the little gunshots, and I mean obviously them making the sounds, but the animation of the gunshot I think is just kind of a new way to do the same thing that we've seen in 1,000 other movies. Plus, it brings it down a level for kids because I mean, it would have been a big action scene if they were using real guns and real like ammunition, but it's a Lego movie and it kind of keeps it light for the kids.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so I guess that's it, right?
Yeah, we just need to put a star rating on this sucker.
So what'd you feel about it?
I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Okay. I feel like I like this movie a little bit more than you, but I don't want to go 4. So I'm going to go with 3.5 as well.
Cool.
All right. So I think it's your week for Nerd Favorite, correct?
It is my week.
Good, because I did not prepare anything.
So I have no idea if you're going to be able to answer this question or not, but I thought that it's a good tie-in to Lego Batman. So, of course, this is based on Lego set, and Legos were a big part of my childhood. So I want to know what your favorite Lego set you had was growing up, and I pray that you were a normal kid and you played with Legos.
No.
You're lying.
No, I'm not lying.
Are you fucking serious?
I owned a Lego set, but I don't even remember what it was. I poured it out, and then it sat on my floor for like a month, and my mom yelled at me, and then I picked it up, and I never played with it again.
Well, I feel sorry for you then.
Talk about yours, though.
I'm going to talk about mine, and I got to think of something to ask you really quick. I don't fucking have anything, man.
My cousin was big into them, and when I went over to his house, like when I would visit them, because they lived in Erie, he had this like Pirates of the Caribbean, I think it was, and he had the whole ship, and so I played with that. So that can be my answer.
Okay, that's pretty lame, but we'll go with it. So you have something. So mine was, when I started playing with Legos, they didn't have all of the rights to all of these characters they have now. So it was more generic Lego sets. And towards the end of me playing with them, there were Star Wars Legos, and those were really fun. But I'm not going to go with any of the Star Wars sets. There was this set called Pharaoh's Forbidden Ruin.
Okay.
And I found it on eBay, and it's going for like $400 in the box.
That's ridiculous.
Which is very ridiculous. But it was this cool set. It was like, of course, the word Pharaoh kind of gives it away, but it's this Egyptian set, and there's like an ancient ruin, and it comes with so many different parts, and it's, again, pretty generic because it's not based on any intellectual property, so it kind of forces the kid to be creative, but there's like treasure and different figures that you get that each have like a different, you can tell that they have different characteristics, and you can kind of tell who the bad guy is, but you don't know for sure. And it came with like this skeleton Lego that was pretty dope that went into a sarcophagus, and there were like little traps and hidden places where you would put the treasure, and it was a lot of fun, and it really fueled my creativity whenever I was playing with my Legos and my toys, and to have like that set up across from my Ninja one, and just finding weird ways to interconnect and make stories up when I was playing with them was a lot of fun. And I would have to go with that. That was kind of like the nostalgia Lego set that I had that I kind of smiled about when I was thinking about it earlier this week.
Yeah, that's the bad thing about doing this segment where we don't tell each other what it's going to be.
Yeah, for sure.
That was just one aspect of I mean it's a big part of nerd culture now. Legos is pretty popular. I mean it's been popular for forever. It's just something I just never got into. Like I said, I tried to get into it. I bought one, like I used my birthday money or something, my Christmas money or something, and I got a Lego set, and I was pretty excited for it. And then I poured it out, and I saw how many pieces it was, and I started to put it together, and I was just like, nah, bro, I'm gonna go play PlayStation. And I never really went back to it.
Yeah, no, that sucks for you.
Yeah. All right, so I guess that's it for episode. I think we're at 128 at this point. They're flying by, of the Nerds You're Looking For podcast. As always, we'd appreciate if you follow us on Twitter and Instagram. They're both at the Nerds Podcast. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Google+. Vote for us for Podcast of the Month at podcastland.com. Comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Nerds You're Looking For. Check out our Twitch channel, which Tyler does a weekly stream at 9 p.m. Central. You can also rate, subscribe, all that good stuff on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, basically any good podcatcher you use, we're on it. And you can also email us at thenerdsyou'relooking4@gmail.com. For Patrick Kuhn,
Tyler Hunt.
we are the Nerds You're Looking For. Take it easy, guys.
Later, guys.